Hey guys, it's Jack. Season 15 just started airing, so let's talk about season 14. I'll be doing a ton of videos on season 15. This video was actually recorded before the season even came out. I'm trying to do a bunch of bulk videos while I'm on vacation, and this is just a video concept that popped into my head that I think would be really fun to talk about. Lady Camden is one of my favorite queens from recent memory for a lot of different reasons. She's from the Bay Area in California, which is where I'm from, so I really love that representation. She's British, which is always cool. She looks like someone I know, and her run on the season was a really interesting one to watch. Spoilers for season 14 here on out. After rewatching season 14, for being the runner-up and the person to win the most challenges on the season, it's interesting to see her presence in the show not really become very apparent until a couple episodes in. She had a couple story beats that were tied to her relationship with Angeria, did pretty well in the talent show, but I just don't think that she was really part of the narrative for the first little bit. Back in my season 14 review, which I don't really stand by anymore, I said that she had very special episodes where she would get one episode to really dominate and then kind of fall behind in storyline again, but I don't really stand by that point anymore. I don't think her storyline on the season was the most consistent, but it definitely was there. The main issue that I think led me to believing that point in the first place was the fact that her storyline just started super late. So let's go back through his storyline to see what was up beforehand until a specific moment that I think got her to become a frontrunner. If you guys enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. Only a small portion of you guys are, and my goal for 2023 is to hit 100k. It's kind of far off, but I really think we can do it. My impressions of Lady Camden for the first couple episodes of the show is very different than what I started to think of her towards the end. And I think that's ultimately because what they did to her in the edit. Like I mentioned earlier, she got a little story beat with Angeria, and she was able to do good in the talent show because she listened to Rue when Rue said that her talent was kind of boring. But to be completely honest, I think her first episode wasn't that great of a portrayal for her aside from the talent show. She walked in and immediately compared herself to a Spice Girl, and that kind of put her in this British box that she thankfully never brought up again, but it just wasn't the best first impression. It felt very like this is the typecast diversity hire of the season, where they're British and they'll mention British things, and that's about it. And to be honest, Camden had some of the strongest runways of anyone on that season, but these first two looks with her entrance and her runway for the episode just aren't my favorite. I just feel like compared to the rest of her run on the season, these two looks are very different than the rest of her aesthetic. I wouldn't consider them bad runways, I think they're just a little louder than the rest of her looks, and I thought that's what her style would be for the course of the season, but that's definitely not true. And then for the next couple episodes, Camden is kind of lacking in the edit. What wasn't lacking though is her performances, and I was always kind of on the lookout for her because of where she's from, and even before they started to give her challenge storylines, she gave some really good performances. She was pretty strong in the ball, and I think the Super Tease was the first sign that she had a lot of potential. She immediately did a complete 180 of the British stereotype and did an American stereotype instead. I think the joke is so simple, but she did a lot of different things with it. After watching it, I think she arguably deserved a high placement, but there were so many good performances and just so many queens, so I understand why she was just called safe. As soon as this video idea popped into my head, I posted it on my community tab to see what you guys thought. And one of the common themes that I saw was that queens were workshopped after the untimely exit of Cornbread. Do I think the producers love Cornbread? Yes. Do I think she was going to be a frontrunner? Also yes. The producers always have an idea of who could be really successful in the competition, and sometimes that leads them to overlook a lot of other people. I've been saying this since the beginning of my channel, but I still don't think that a filler queen actually exists. Instead, a queen's run can be under-edited, and that can affect the perception of the public. But when a queen like Cornbread is set up to be very central in the edit, has a lot of screen time, then leaves the competition, it leaves a lot of other room for people to take. From the start, I think the producers really vibed with Angeria, Willow, Cornbread, and Bosco. But over the course of the next couple episodes, it seems like the producers are starting to workshop to see who can potentially make it to the end. They started to throw out more high placements to Georges, Deja, and Camden, while Diabetti was doing her own thing and forming her own storyline. And with how long the season was, it gave them a lot of time to play around without jumping to any conclusions. I feel like with the departure of a very centralized person, the producers were allowed to let the placements fall where they may lay, and then towards the end of the competition wrap it up to make sure they get some story beats in. And with Camden showing a good amount of potential and potential storyline with Angeria, they looked towards her a lot more. So episode 5 is where we see her second high placement and a lot more presence in the edit. It was a good episode, it was a good challenge, she gave a good performance. There isn't a lot lot I can say for this episode, but for the future of her run, there is only one other time she was safe, and even in that episode, she was given storyline. So for the rest of the competition, she was very present in the edit, but I think it's ultimately because of these next 2 episodes. Glamazon Prime is a very divisive challenge among fans because of the winner of the challenge. There were a lot of strong looks, and even the winner had a very good look, but when comparing it to the rest of the looks, I think people were a little more confused as to why it won. And this was especially after the edit of the critiques that gave a lot more praise to both Angeria and Lady Camden. So when Georges came out and won it, I think it was the first sign of the workshopping that the producers were doing. Rue loves Georges, she is an insane performer, and we saw that in the previous episode, so giving her a little pick-me-up after she was in the bottom in the last episode, I think this is where their intentions lie. I don't know if they weren't completely confident in Camden yet, or wanted to build this slow burn storyline around her, but it didn't really matter because the next episode, she just controlled the entire thing. Every time that I watch Daytona Wins, I just get more and more entertained and the smile just gets bigger on my face. It's a stupid challenge, it's a feel-good episode, everyone does super well, but for me, the biggest reason to watch it is because of Lady Camden's performance over the entire episode. A lot of the critiques that she was getting up to this point was that she needs to be a little louder. She herself knows that she's not the loudest in the room, and I think by them telling her this, it's like the main thing that's holding them back from going all in on Lady Camden. So when she opens those doors and screams, it's basically her telling them, you want me to be loud? Okay, I'll be loud. Her performance in the challenge is given probably the best compliment ever on the show, saying that the acting was so good, it was like actual acting, which they don't get on Drag Race a lot. It was just a show-stopping performance that she had control over, she was making all those choices, and it's clear that the potential that I and many others saw early on was very much coming out. But of course, this is only half the story. The other half is one of my favorite moments of any TV show of all time.
Lady Camden.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
You okay?
Oh, shoot.
Face first, this is every drag queen's nightmare. Surprise! I'm Freddie Mercury, bitch!
The fall heard around the world was the last thing it took to sell Lady Camden to basically everyone watching the show. It's such a stunt, it's so risky to do, and the fact that no one saw it coming, that makes the best reveal. The perfect homage, it's a really cute outfit. Everything went right for Camden because she planned it to go exactly that way. And after this moment, the producers had all of their eyes on Lady Camden for basically the rest of the competition. And this is where we get the downwards trajectory in Lady Camden's run that thankfully didn't last for too long. It was honestly kind of poor timing because I think they were ready to go full in on her, but these next 3 performances just weren't the best. In the girl group, she got the critique that she was falling into the background because she was just so soft, and I do understand that. They immediately call back to her performance from the previous episode and say, you need to channel this every single week because this was just so amazing. And this is the storyline that I think I missed out on when I first talked about the season. The midpoint of the season is where Camden was struggling to find her voice in the competition until eventually finding it towards the end. She was a little too soft in the girl group. In the improv challenge in the next episode, she was very nervous and just didn't do the best. And then after that, we had Snatch Game, which everyone just kind of did bad at, even though I didn't think Lady Camden did the worst. Over time, I've come to terms with the fact that it was edited poorly in order to make this next episode happen in the way that it did. In a normal episode, I think Camden would have had a good performance, but in season 14, you can never really expect that. And then we get to the lip sync Lollapalooza, where Camden delivers a very well acted performance once again. I love this lip sync. The camera work is so iconic. And after she's saved, we get a moment where she realizes how bad she wants it and is ready to be as loud as possible in order to get it. So after the mid-season where she isn't the strongest, we then get the Rusical where she has complete control once again, aside from, getting the role that she wanted. Just overall, a very stellar performance that came at the perfect time to make sure that the producers know she has everything that it takes and it wasn't just a fluke that one episode. After this, we get a very strong performance in the roast with some really funny jokes, and then she ends up winning the remix as well, which I honestly thought was pretty surprising. Daya over the course of the episode was being set up to be the winner of the challenge, and then Camden took it in the end. I'm not complaining about it, but I'm more surprised. Maybe it was because the producers wanted to reward Camden one last time, or maybe they were worried that Daya was building up too much steam and they didn't want an eliminated queen to get to the end with like the best track record. It was shocking, but honestly all of the performances were so good, and that's why it was a top top 5 instead of a top 4. We didn't get that much Camden content in the reunion, it was basically just Camgeria, but when we get to the finale, it's another really strong night for her. Out of all the solo performances, I think she easily had the best one. It was in brand with the turning point of her season, a tribute to Queen, and just overall, oh my god, the presentation, the way she revealed things, just perfect. And the final lip sync was just another strong performance for her, but in the end, she didn't end up winning. I think down to the last minute, it was a very big toss-up between her and Willow, and I would have been happy if either of them took the crown. What I admire most about Lady Camden that I've kind of said over the course of this video is her control and her vision. Even if she isn't the loudest in the room, she finds that way to get the attention and get the eyes on her to show she has what it takes. And she'll do it in the exact way that she wants to because she just is that girl. Her potential and her performances were going a little underappreciated early on, but by falling and getting back up, she won. She won the hearts of the producers, the hearts of the fans, and probably a future All-Star season too. Thank you guys so much for watching. If I timed this correctly, I'm still on vacation, but I should be back very soon to make videos on season 15. Once again, Happy New Year, like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon with another video.